Hello everybody, welcome to Boxing Science. In this video we're going to be covering a very popular exercise in boxing strength conditioning. It's the Landmine Punch. Now the reason why a lot of people like the Landmine Punch is because it looks good, it looks just like a punch and it feels great to do as well. But there's a lot more to this exercise to make sure that it's beneficial to boxing performance and we can optimize it in a few different ways. So we've got written down here what are the benefits of a Landmine Punch. It's to increase force and speed during a punch specific action. We can increase hand speed. By doing this we improve the kinetic chain sequencing. We're wanting to produce force from foot all the way through to the fist, and there's not much better action than Landmine Punch to help train this. And then also loading on the rear foot. So we use a lot of punch specific exercises. We use med ball punch throw, banded shadow box, but with this exercise with Landmine Punch, the trajectory of the bar actually loads up that rear leg a lot more. So that's the reason why we use it. So what are the goals of a Landmine Punch? We want to increase rate of force development. So we want to select a weight that is going to help increase the rate of force development. We don't want to be going too light because then we're not overloading that, and we don't want to go too heavy, then we're not getting enough speed on that. Wanting to increase kinetic chain sequencing. So we've got different variations there to try and improve this. And then we've got core and rotation, that contribution to the punch. We also want to increase hand speed and acceleration. So there's exercises and variations that can help try and optimize that adaptation. Then develop the snap, so the impact of the punch, that full body tension, hips, core, and especially the arms. And then also we wanted to produce force in boxing specific movements. So we can use a back step, a lateral step to then transfer that into a boxing specific movement. So today I'm going to take you through these 10 different variations, starting off with the traditional Landmine Punch, going on to throws, some with bands and the isometric holds as well. So in Landmine Punch, it's really important that you're loading up that rear foot. You don't want to be being too balanced and then overreaching at the end. So when you start, Cal, just load up that rear foot, and you want that fulcrum of the bar right up to your chin. And then when we throw the bar up, we're rotating that hip rapidly, rotating that back foot, we're transferring that weight all the way through that movement. If you notice with Cal, it's making that little snap at the top. Yeah, that's showing that it's getting maximum acceleration from that shoulder because it's transferring from his hips all the way through. So if you look at that first movement, Cal, if you just go to there, all that energy there is coming from his hips and torso rotation. It's not a pressing movement. So it's getting that momentum from his hips, driving it through, and then it's creating that snap right at the top of the movement. Good work. Strong. Great work. So this is a Landmine Punch throw. The benefits of this is to increase hand speed because we haven't got that end action where we're having to keep hold of the bar. This reduces deceleration forces, so we're accelerating all the way through that movement. Same rules apply. We want to maximum rotation through the hips, through torso. And as we release the bar, we're wanting to release the bar towards the end range, but not too far because obviously then we end up slowing down. So you want to be towards about that mid-range, Cal, but we're still accelerating all the way through the movement. You want to be using about 20 kilos, which is the bar, plus I'd say 5 kilos, maybe even 7.5 kilos on the bar. Anything heavier than that might be too heavy for your athlete. Okay, off we go. Nice. Good. Driving all the way through the movement. Start from that dead start. And drive up. Good. Nice. One more. Nice. Good. Okay, so this is the Landmine Punch with isometric hold. This is to develop the snap right at the end range of the punch. So when you're throwing a punch and landing on the target, or your opponent, you want to make sure that your core and your shoulders and your arms They're creating that fast global stiffening. So at the end range of this punch here, I'm going to just provide that force and that tension at the end range. As a coach, you can't be too shy with it. It hurts my hands a little bit doing it, especially when Cal's doing it. But you've just got to go through that pain barrier, just push on, and Cal's got to hold that end range. If he's not creating that tension, all it's going to do, the bar's just going to come back. Let's go, Cal. Good, so as you notice, I'm catching it with one hand underneath, and this hand's on top, and I'm gripping it straight away. Open palm, and then gripping, and I'm putting my body weight into it as well. Good, and you're creating that snap, and he's holding it momentarily at the top, creating that stiffness through his core, his shoulders, and his hips. This one is the Landmine Punch with bands. There's a few benefits for this. One is acceleration, because the band is creating more tension all the way through the movement, so you're encouraged to accelerate all the way through the movement. It's also great for that increasing snap at the end range of the punch, again, because you've got the bands, it's always going to want to pull you back. You've got to create that stiffness at the top, and also the length tension relationship. So our muscles, as it gets longer, produces less tension. There's an optimal point. We want to try and keep that as long as possible, especially when we're throwing our long range, our straight shots, so our jab and our backhand. So Cal's just going to get it. You're getting a figure of 8 on the mid of the fulcrum of the bar. The band is just going to sit underneath the balls of the feet, which is a great cue to where your foot position needs to be when you're actually throwing. Because a lot of boxers, when they're throwing the backhand, especially in Landmine Punch, they end up reaching over, going up, bringing their heels up and toes up. With the band just underneath the balls of your feet, it's encouraging Cal to just sit on that back foot a little bit more. It's accelerating all the way through the movement, snapping at the top. Again, staying onto the balls of your feet of that rear foot. Good work. So this is the Landmine Punch with Setback. This is to encourage that reactiveness from the calf complex to go straight into that punching action. So it's a little bit like when you're stepping back in a fight, step it with either both feet or just one foot, or just generally moving around the ring. We're always on our toes, reacting from that calf complex. With this, we're not starting in a boxing specific stance. We're starting a little bit close. Then we drop into there, and as soon as we drop into there, we're accelerating through. It's important with this one as well that we're not just reacting from the calf and then trying to throw straight away. We're still getting that hip extension and rotation all the way through. So start off, yeah, and then we drop back into it, yeah. So on a little step, I want to hear that noise from your feet. So nice and snappy. Brilliant. Good. One more. Nice. Good work. Yeah. This is a Landmine Punch with lateral step. It's a great exercise because it's training very boxing specific movement that you're likely to do on the pads or in the ring. As well, it loads up laterally, so it improves lateral movement, starts targeting this glute med complex, preloads it to then wind that up into a rapid hip extension and rotation. So Callum's going to start off, it's going to be in his boxing stance, but facing slightly off to the side. And then he's going to turn the back, he's going to pivot the front foot while stepping out to the side with his rear foot. And this one is just going to be a standard Landmine Punch and no throw attached to this. We've gone a little bit lighter with this as well, just so that that movement's more dynamic. If we go heavy, it'll be a little bit too much of a slow step. It's important in here, when you readjusted there, to still be in your boxing stance there. You kind of went a little bit too side on. So still be in your boxing stance, so like you're facing me, and it's like you kind of like slipping that jab, going out to the side. Yeah, that's better. Yep, good work. One more. This is a Landmine Punch Caption throw. So Caption throw technique is challenging that stretch shortening cycle of the hips, core, and then lat muscles as well. This can transfer into combination punching or just punching in general. If you think about, like, you'd probably like feint a jab, come back, and then throw a right hand. We're very dependent on that stretch shortening cycle, especially of the trunk. So we're doing this a little bit lighter. Now I'm going to pass it Cal to start off with. And he's going to catch it into his shoulder, get into that kind of deep landmine punch position, and then drive it up as fast as he can. Yeah. Good work, Cal. Good. Get a little bit further on that rotation. Excellent. This is a Landmine Punch with pre-rotation. This is fantastic to cue an athlete to create that momentum from rapid hip rotation, torso rotation. If you've got an athlete that is maybe a bit guilty of throwing arm shots or wanting to try and generate that force from foot all the way through to the face, this is a fantastic exercise. Cal's going to pick up the bar, and he's going to create that little rotation there and just get halfway up. I'm going to cue Callum not to try and use your arms whatsoever, yeah? Just that energy is all just coming from your legs, and whatever comes off the bar, whatever comes off in the movement, it's just coming from that lower body, yeah? Then pull it back in and then throw the shot. Fantastic. So you can see his hips are really winding up and working well here. Fantastic, and creating that snap at the top, accelerating all the way through the movement. Good work, Cal. Good. So. Good. Good. This is a Landmine Punch with rear foot loading. So we're going to create an emphasis on this back foot. So if you've got a boxer that is struggling to keep that back foot down, looking to kind of reach over to gain that momentum, this is a fantastic exercise for them. So you're going to sit really far back to start off with and really load it up. Rather than like the normal Landmine Punch where you kind of dip in then drive in straight away using that counter movement, take that counter movement away, really load up on that back foot. It's almost like this front foot can just come off. Yeah. So really, in boxing specific sense, it's bad teachings, but we're mainly looking for the physical response for this. So there, loading up, and then firing through, and it's all coming from this rear leg. So load it up, then throw. Good. Load it up. Good. Almost feel like that left foot can come off. Good. Nice. One more. Fantastic work. Well done. This is the kneeling Landmine Punch throw. So if you've got somebody like Callum, big strong legs, you can see in his technique he's really relying on that hip rotation coming through, and this is fantastic. However, we might need to take them away to really focus on that core contribution, that trunk rotation involved, okay? So doing the kneeling variation takes away the legs and really focuses on gaining that momentum through that rotation of the trunk. So let's give that a go, Cal. So we're in a split stance kneeling position, opposite arm, opposite leg in terms of left leg forward, right foot back. And we want to create that pre-rotation there and then aim it up and then drive through the movement. Good. And it's very easy, especially when we're doing kneeling variation, is to finish square on. What I'm encouraging Callum to do here is to actually rotate and almost wants to show that boxing science logo to the camera. Good. And now we've taken that legs away because we're struggling with that core rotation. cam's now going a little bit wider in the shot. So have a look at this with your athlete, making sure that they're not going out here to try and gain that momentum. They're keeping it in close, using that rotation as much as they can. Feel that a bit more now. Good, one more. Excellent work, Cal. Okay guys, that's the end of the video. Hopefully I've given you some great variations that you can put in with yourself or your athletes to help power up your punch. If you've got any questions about any of the exercises, please leave them in the comment box below, and I'll see you on the next video.